somewhere on the scene. It got a little longer, so it seems. I burned out, so to speak. Now come a little closer. I feel a little light in the light track. I felt a bit of bad, but I came back. There's still a little light in the light track. There's still a bit of good, so good. And I know just what to say. And I know just what to do. And I'm so sick of pain. But it's all too quick with you. Losing this game, I can't afford to be losing this game. And I know you're the safest bet. Losing my mind, can't find the words, no, I can't seem to find. But I'm really trying again. Reason right, let's take our time and choose whether we green or yellow, whether we deep or shallow. Please me now, cause we're about to lose, whether we buy or hello, whether we stay or jello. Sometimes, honey, me, you pour a little bit of gasoline. I burned out, so to speak. Come a little closer. Here's some disclosure. Do you mind to quit your pretending? Truth or false, the shit never ending. Hear me now and stop condescending. You see, I'm begging, you hear me beg. If you're sick for love, don't try to hide it. Find it deep inside and try to hide it. If there's a way, I wanna know we tried it. Quit your games and now that you denied it. Losing this game, I can't afford to be losing this game. And I know you're the safest bet. Losing my mind, can't find the words, no, I can't seem to find. But I'm really trying again. Reason right, let's take our time and choose whether we're green or yellow, whether we deep or shallow. Please me now, cause we're about to lose, whether we buy or hello, whether we stay or jello. I gotta move and make amends, but can't go through the same regrets. It could feel so good on mine. Love by love, again, 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 again. And I know you're the safest bet. Deep or shallow, please me now, cause we're about to lose, whether we buy or hello, whether we stay or jello.
Rewind selector, rewind selector, rewind selector. Rewind selector, rewind selector, rewind selector. Rewind selector. Rewind selector.
Yeah, Lutz.
All right. So listen, you're telling me that you're going to make a compromise. That's the way I
No.
see what you're telling me. Right? You're telling me you're going to compromise a little bit of somebody's privacy because of adoption. Now we've seen this mistake before. I mean, can we learn from history a little bit? Didn't Snarks, Zcash, the other people who created ZK Snarks, didn't they do that? Did that work out for them? You tell me what's better. Is it better to try to adapt to a system that's broken, or is it better just to build your own that's 100% private? And if you want to give somebody that information, you have that choice. If you want to do your taxes, you have that choice, but you've consented to it first.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
real
think
So
taxes
decision.
are
why
consent, but
so why Yes, it should be consent. We 100%.
It should be, but it isn't.
I agree. No, but you're right.
Well, the
Look, the
reality
definition
isn't.
of taxes is, yeah, definition of taxes is it's not consent. That's the definition, right? That's what makes it taxes. So,
two things certain: taxes and death, right? No, but okay.
well, no, but I
let me.
think what Lutz is saying maybe taxes is not certain. Maybe there's a different way, and that's what he's pushing forward. What do you think?
Look, Billy. Look, New York City was built on cash money. It wasn't built on taxes, right? All this taxation is hurting everybody, right? This is called stealing. Government is stealing your money. They're just taking it willy nilly.
Inflationary taxes
get a
too.
receipt-
Inflationary taxes too. Yeah.
They
Okay,
take it from everything you buy. They take it before you even can say, go ahead, take it. They already took it. They already took it from your wallet. All right. So you tell me what privacy you feel you have, and how do you not feel raped?
Okay, let me elaborate my approach, and I hope you don't interrupt. So like, first of all, I'm not saying that we should compromise on the protocol level or on the technical level. Like, for example, with Zcash, which has been building entire infrastructures over their transparent addresses, and that makes it very unlikely to move to a mandatory privacy model. And yes, they've done it. They've really towed the line with regulators, but as a result, as you realize that very few people use their privacy functions, and that to me is an unacceptable compromise. So what I'm saying is that, look, you can be 100% private, right? And you can be like, totally, Z to Z transactions, or with Lelanders, total Lelanders transactions. And the thing is, the law actually allows us to be compliant. There's nothing wrong with being totally private. Cash is totally private. All this is totally private. And the thing is that if we are compliant, why shouldn't we just say like, hey, don't ban us? We are actually complying with the law. I'm not saying that we should compromise and degrade our privacy or embrace transparent transactions. I'm saying that if we are already compliant, shouldn't we educate regulators to say, rather than banning us, why don't you take a look at other ways that you can actually comply with AML KYC regulations, and how privacy coins as a whole space can fit into your frameworks? And of course, you can say, well, screw the government and all of that. But the things that we are already compliant is just this crappy narrative. If we embrace the narrative and just say that, oh yeah, because if we go say like, screw the government, we're just going to go totally dark. The governments and all these people are just going to continue pushing the narrative is that privacy is for illicit activity, for people who do not want to comply with the law. And that narrative will grow with the majority of the population, because unfortunately the reality is majority of people want to be law abiding and want to be they don't want to be criminals, right? And the thing is that we are saying that
why are people criminals by default? Why are you assuming?
No, they're
people are
not criminals by
default?
default. But the thing is that why are we letting them criminalize what is actually a
propagandize.
legal
Yeah.
activity?
Yeah,
Right. So
propagandize.
that's
They
why
talked about
we
the
have to
propaganda.
fight. We have to fight back with propaganda, which is also coming up with stuff like, hey, we're actually compliant. What are you guys talking about? Rather than just totally cutting ourselves, putting us in this silo and like, we're going to be just like totally like anarchists and like screw the government. And honestly, that segment of population that is able to say like screw the government and totally be not part of the system is a very, very small part. And that to me, I would say that's actually a disservice to privacy if you say that privacy is only for these group of people. It's for everyone, right? And
Look,
I understand.
Two classes.
Yeah.
We're two different people. We're two different people. You are okay with complying, all right? I'm totally on a whole different level than you are.
We are already compliant.
Hold on.
Right, that's
Go for
great.
it, Lutz.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sorry, again.
But I understand what Ruben you're saying, and you're right in that sense. And it is, and you're just saying you want to advocate. You want to advocate and say, look, leave us alone. Here's our compliance, whatever, and that's fair. And Lutz is coming from this angle as well, where it's like, you know what? Not even that game doesn't even exist to Lutz. And so Lutz, go. You have some word here, and then I think also I hope Wookie maybe is still around. He's super active, writing away as he usually likes to do. You love to write, a Wookie. And Drake is here too still. So let's, yeah, man, go Lutz.
So, you're telling me you wanna comply, and that's okay. There's a lot of people out there that do like to comply, right? You may feel comfortable. You may feel that you feel safer. You feel safer because I could tell you while I was living on the
I,
streets, I didn't feel safer.
I
All right,
think you're
so
missing the point.
no, I think you're missing the point. You're telling me that your cryptocurrency is okay with complying just a little bit, right? It's either you comply or you don't. Right? So you're saying, yeah, you can have
No,
this optional privacy.
no, no,
That's
no.
it's
We
Yeah.
are
Well, I
moving
mean,
to
look, everybody has to make decisions. Everybody has to make
right.
decisions too. I mean, if we
Right,
bring it
but
to
in
Komodo and they
pirate,
make decisions and like exactly,
in
so you're
pirate,
pirate, and
you could
that's
do
the
that.
beauty. That's the yeah,
You could
no,
exactly.
do
no.
Well,
that.
that's
Look,
You
part of
could
the
give
point. Yeah,
consent.
look,
that's
Yeah,
yeah,
so you
that's
you
part of
could
the
pay your taxes if you want to.
well,
yeah,
the thing is
beautiful.
that
That's what we love the pirates. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
pirates 100%. The thing is that even with 100% private transactions, pirate chain is compliant. I'm not. Don't focus on the word compliant. The compliance that it's legal. All right, and I know you don't care whether it's legal or illegal, but if it is legal and someone is saying you're illegal, why not fight that narrative? That's all I'm saying. We're not making
Why
compromises. We're
why would I
actually
why would I waste my effort when I know that my solution can supersede any action they could take?
Okay,
because
good.
the
So look,
Why would
look,
I
look,
even
look,
bother
look,
fighting a losing
gents.
fight?
Exactly. And so I think we're good with that for now. It seems like you guys have your method and your way, and I'm glad for the diversity of it as well. I want everything to be tried so that we can find out what works and what doesn't work and how it works. And, this is awesome. Look, Draith is still here. I love hearing your voice, Draith. Why don't you hop in if you have any idea, or Wookie too, if you want to say something. But Lutz, man, I love your passion. And Ruben, I'm so glad you two, you're so passionate. I mean, that's why we're still here talking. It's great. So what's going on here?
Oh, is it
Oh,
to
you know
me?
what? And also, if you don't want to go off on this, Drake, Jay Charming had asked the question also earlier to us about consent, and so I would love to talk about. I mean, that's kind of what Lutz is on about, and this idea of consent and what's the line and all of that sort of stuff. Anyway, go for it, Drake.
Well, I think there was just a misunderstanding between a couple things that you guys were saying in terms of like how each of you were understanding what the other was saying. But either way, I'll avoid that for right this second. My question to Ruben is what's the reasoning behind limiting or capping the anon set of Fiero?
right. So it isn't actually like we're not capping the entire anonymity set of Firo. It's more of like the Lantis. So the Lantis technology, despite not having trusted setup, having good, decent performance, and also simple cryptographic building blocks, does have limitations. And one of that is that when you increase the size of the anonymity set, performance actually degrades linearly. That means if it's like my anonymity set is 2 times larger, the proving times and the verification times is 2 times as long. So on a technical level, we've had to kind of cap it at 65,000 because we don't want a single proof to take more than 1 second to verify, even though batch verification is very efficient. And of course, but it's not as simple as saying that, oh yeah, that means that the entire set is 65,000. Similarly, as Monero set isn't actually just 11, right? It's actually like many other factors and how it all ties in together. But the idea of the anonymity set of 65,000 is that, okay, let's say we have like 65,000 commitments inside the set. What happens when you start a new one? It's going to be completely zero. So when people actually start using that new set, that means they have very little privacy. So to kind of overcome that, we actually, before we start the new set, before the first set becomes completely full, we actually start seeding the new set with previous commitments of the other one. So what a good way to see it is kind of like overlapping sets. So that even when the new set starts, it has already been preceded with at least 16,000 commitments. So what that means is that your effective anonymity set for any particular transaction is anywhere between 16,000 and 65,000-ish. However, it gets even more blur in our second iteration of the Lelantus, where you can actually, send a transaction from one anonymity set and send it to a different anonymity set, like almost like a Z to Z transaction, and he never has to redeem it. And this is what we call direct anonymous payments. And therefore, what happens then is that anonymity sets start becoming very, very blurred as to where they overlap and where they start and end. So although it's not as let's say, like, the anonymity set isn't as great as something like Zcash, which has ZK Snarks, which has like 2 to the power of 32, we have like 2 to the power of 16 with none of the cryptographic weaknesses that we see. So although it's not perfect, I would say that it's a good all-rounded thing, and I do feel that as I mentioned before, although Lutz may disagree, I do think diversity in privacy technology is really important because it is impossible to optimize for everything. Everything comes with trade-offs. And with all this type of cutting edge cryptography, like, we use zero coin and that was like completely broken, right? And it's good that we have other privacy protocols that we're coming up with new stuff so that if something breaks, there are other stuff to turn out. We don't want to be too reliant on just one stream of thought. And if that fails, we're just totally screwed. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Drake? Oh, Drake, we can't hear if you're trying to talk right now. That's a shame. Okay, well, Wookie, you there? Or Lutz, what are you saying? Yeah, go for it.
Or Wookie, if you want, take this.
Yeah, and I do appreciate you mentioning trade-offs because everything is trade-offs. Opportunity cost is
Yeah.
the lifeblood of economics. And economics is human action in that sense.
The trade-off you talk about already exists. All right, so
I see Wookie here. Yeah,
Bitcoin.
Lutz, you go, and
Right,
then Wookie's got something to say after.
So the transparency you're compromising for already exists. So why put a vulnerability inside a chain that doesn't need to be there when your whole point is privacy? Look, either you do it good or you don't do it at all.
Military privacy, you're misunderstanding. We
Hold
are
on,
not.
Hold on, Ruben, buddy. Just let him go for a moment. This is great. And Drake came back. So yeah, you did drop Drake. So we'll get to you in a second. Lutz is going to just talk for a quick sec. Wookie came back on to talk too, and then we'll get around. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done. I just had to say that. I mean, why?
Nice.
If it's either you're going to be private or you're not going to be private. There is no medium, right?
Okay.
You have Bitcoin to do this for you. If you want to be transparent, there's plenty of options.
Yeah, beauty, and there's plenty more to go around. I love it. Drake, what were you trying to say though?
No, I was saying that Ruben essentially took the words right out of my head because kind of like capitalism, in a sense that it breeds competitors, privacy coins need to have competitors in case a protocol breaks or is decrypted. At least you have others to turn to keep yourself private.
Yeah, thank you. And Wookie, are you still there?
I've got a
what's
question
going on?
to throw in there. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Go ahead, Wookie.
Yeah, no. First, throw in the question. So if we want to think about it while Wookie says something, but we'd like to listen to Wookie at the same time.
Yeah, actually. Also, I'll pitch this one out to Lutz, and then you can think about it, Lutz, while Wookie talks, and see if there's anything that's worth saying for you. I'm curious if Monero had never existed, if you think that Pirate Chain would have still come to be. So I'm just going to leave that because I'm just kind of curious what your answer might be to that. Not that saying that Pirate Chain only exists because of Monero, but just, if there was not another privacy project first, do you think that Pirate Chain would have come to be? Not hypothetically, but actually, like the way it came to be. All right, over to Wookie. Thank you.
That was a very interesting question. I have my own opinion on that. But what I was going to say earlier was coming back to what Ruben you said earlier about practical privacy. And one of the thoughts that I had, nothing about this is nothing about Firo or Pirate Chain. But one of the things that we want to aim for is try to make privacy by default easy for the consumer. And so, besides the making everything mandatory pirate chain, we also are building I2P. We're already Tor capable, and so we're trying to protect all the other outside points outside of the protocol itself, like our Ghost Ship OS, that basically creates an environment. And I think these are things that um, the privacy sector as a whole, we could all put our heads together, to try to protect users in future, right, coming down the line. And the earlier discussion about governments, and I think that probably has to do with the culture of our different projects. I would probably say, I don't want to speak for Firo. Pirate Chain has a more, in my mind, the Western world has a more, freedom-oriented, freedom from government, ethos. I don't know if Firo is more, I want to say, Eastern side of the world ethos, because I think the way the two sides of the world see governments, the culture see governments, are a little bit different. And maybe that's just how we approach things. And every coin, every project, every business in the world has its own flavor. And so all the better that there are different flavors. That's all I want to say about that subject.
Okay, and do you want to say anything about that question Jay Charming asked? You did mention that you liked it, so please feel free to answer it.
Yeah. So a quick thing. So my first thought that came to mind about that question was the origin story of Pirate Chain, right? It was with Grul Satander and S. Hossein from Komodo, who really one day just thought of the question, well, with ZK Snarks, what if, right? What if we just forced everything private? Force everything Z only. It came about as a what if, because the option, we can do this. What if we try to do this? So I think it was, this is a little bit about myself. I do science experiments daily, and a lot of this is all about what ifs, right? And that is the beauty of humanity. We can ask the question, what if an experiment? So I think even if Monero didn't exist, this was something that is born out of the beauty of humankind, that we can ask the what if question, and that was how Pirate Chain was born. That's all.
Phenomenal. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I do remember, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, so we'll get some corrections on that if it's true. We'll get Delton to write something up, maybe. Sorry, Delton. Shout outs. But the idea is too that
I'm pretty sure Delton is furiously writing down notes constantly right now.
Wookie and Delton, you guys can start up a little collabo. Anyway, look, the idea too is that maybe around the time of Komodo getting rid of the privacy feature and all of that story, that might have fit into those questions as well. So it's interesting how things unfold. Unfoldment is a pretty curious thing to me. But anyway, Wookie, that was brilliant. Those were lovely thoughts. I think Lutz was waiting in the shadows there. Lutz, you still want to say something?
No, I'm good. That was beautiful. Nice job, Wookie.
I'm gonna pour a drink. That was well done.
Cheers.
Thanks for picking up that question. I've got a couple of those floating around in my head, and I get pretty curious about them. And I appreciate this group getting to do that. It's been
And one thing I want to
cool
add
people.
on to what Wookie said about the origin story of Pirate is that Pirate, like he said, it wasn't born out of competition. It was born out of the question,
Oh, I think he dropped out.
Oh, that's a shame. But I think we knew
Oh,
where.
sorry,
There, you're
I
back. You're
left
back. Yeah. Okay.
my push to talk button slipped. So Yeah, it was born out of the question of what if, not let's compete. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, the reason why Komodo got rid of their privacy, I mean, if I don't know if there's an actual reasoning behind it, but in my opinion, if there isn't, to me, it's along the lines of, well, optional privacy is no privacy in reality. You know, having something transparent by default and then having the user opt into privacy is not actually private. So having Pirate Chain spawn from Komodo, it spurred the idea that, well, why do we even have privacy if it's not really private? And then basically we have this project that spawned from us that is fully private. So what's the
Mm,
point of having any sort of privacy like that if it's not actually private?
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and that brings me, yeah, and that brings me to the beauty of Komodo, which I feel like I've really fallen in love. It's interesting, and I have a few loves in my life, so it's no worries there. But Komodo, it just offers so much opportunity, I would say, and one of those opportunities that is coming to step by step out of the gate. It's been a couple years now. Recently, birthday Pirate Chain has seems to be. Moving forward quite
It was a
strongly
birthday
across
recently?
those seas. Yeah, wasn't it, gents?
August 29th was when Pirate Chain was born.
Oh, happy birthday, Pirate Chain, from a little while back.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're definitely
Yeah.
belated. We're about a third of the way for the next one, but
If I'm still
that's
here
just
next year, we're gonna throw a birthday party for Pirate Chain.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. This will be great too. Yeah, I like the direction that Komodo is going now with all this. This is a great the stress test and then the live stream. I think it's opening all kinds of nice opportunities, and this is really exciting too.
And one other thing too is that having an optional optional privacy on a chain also introduces limitations to that chain too, because there's limitations to what pirate.
Oops, dropped off.
I hate my push to talk button. Um, there's a lot of limitations as to what uh, a chain like Pirate Chain can do in its current technological state versus a fully transparent chain. So having optional privacy on a chain and then trying to do all the stuff that say Komodo is doing.
Yeah, as you said, it's I think you forgot to press your push to talk again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
I'm using my phone now because my laptop died. So
Yeah, so what you were saying is that privacy is actually a trade-off in itself. You lose a lot of flexibility, you lose a lot of scalability, and that comes with adding privacy features. And this is kind of something. This is kind of why we could not move immediately to a mandatory by default model, because there has been infrastructure built around the transparent model, like for example our master nodes, or like even like you see like atomic DEX, right? Obviously, privacy coins are here, like would benefit the most from using atomic DEX, but because Monero is not on yet, Pirate Chain isn't on yet, because it is harder to build this type of systems with privacy chains. And I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, of course, we can go down the Lutz model and say, yeah, eventually a no compromise model, which is the way to go. And in a way, Monero has really pushed that narrative. I mean, especially in contrast to Dash, which used to be called Dark Coin, and now they're even saying we're not a privacy coin. Our privacy actually sucks. Like it's worse than Bitcoin, and it's to me, that's a real shame to see. Like, these were like
Yeah,
the two
no, but
OGs in
Ruben,
privacy. Yeah.
you know what? That's interesting points you make, and it really the technological point. I think the technological point you make is a very good one too. The idea of the trade-offs again, and how there's certain things that are, yeah, like you mentioned, flexibility and all that. Uh, you guys that are working on the privacy technology have a really tough job overall. I think from a lot of different angles. Um, what why are you so passionate about this? Why are you so passionate about this? We can go around. I'm curious to hear you guys.
Oh, that's a great question.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you want who wants to start? Or since I'm talking, maybe I'll start.
Go for it.
uh yeah, so I actually like prior to this, I was actually a lawyer for 10 years, but even like in 2007 when I started my legal career, I actually started a VPN company. And back then VPNs were actually considered like it was considered like almost like, illicit activity, risky behavior and stuff like that. And what happened was, as a VPN company in 2007, I was cut off from many, many payment platforms. To checkout wouldn't accept me, all this other stuff saying that, oh, VPNs are hiding illicit activity and therefore we cannot support your payments. And I was really, really cut off. All my local payment providers just cut me off. And PayPal kept on consistently, asking me questions about my business and shutting down my account and I was so pissed off, like, this is ridiculous. And the whole point of the VPN then was because my country Malaysia was actually censoring content. It started kind of like semi innocuous. They're like, okay, let's censor porn, then let's censor P2P, and then next thing it started like, let's censor medium.com because sometimes they speak against the government. And there's this this scope creep, like from one thing to the next. And because I have felt, first of all, the power of what happens when a government gets too much power and starts enforcing censorship and control because of the lack of privacy is one thing. And the second thing is that, I was basically cut off. I just wanted to run my business and I was just cut off from the entire financial system because they said VPNs are illicit activity, which is, well, now totally rubbish. Everyone accepts it, but it was seen as taboo. And that's why how I got into privacy, cryptocurrencies, and why I believe it's really important for individual freedoms as well. So, yeah.
Thanks for your story. I really appreciate listening to that. In a way that almost made my day right there. There's just been so
Yeah.
much good stuff going on today, and that story made my day too.
Claps for that,
I
for
appreciate
sure.
it. Yeah, yeah. Who's next? Who wants to chime in? There's a lot of
I
passion
can
around
speak
here.
next. Yeah, I can speak next. So there's a couple of reasons for me, essentially. Um, the first being Snowden, obviously. Back before the whole reveal with Snowden and everything, I was under the impression of, well, as long as I do this, this, and this, I'm okay. There's nobody surveilling me. There's nobody doing anything. But when he revealed all the stuff that he did, it made me realize, well, it doesn't matter what I do because they're actually tracking me through this and this. And, in the terms of, I think it was the Patriot Act that said, as long if for cross-border communications, they track that. But you can use Gmail and send something to yourself, and it could go from a server from your computer to a server in, say, France, and then come back, and now that's an international thing. So now they'll trace that. So there's a lot of different aspects to what he brought up that just got me really concerned because before that, I was still big into privacy as far as like, everyone, it's a fundamental right and this and that. But after that was revealed, it's like you have to fight for it. You have to make sure that you fight for your privacy. You fight for the right to be private and excluded from the social sphere and everything like that. And
Fight
then
for
the other
freedom.
thing, yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that really drove me nuts is something called civil forfeiture. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, say for example, you're carrying 10 grand in cash because you're going to go buy a car, right? That cash was obtained legally through you working for a company, it doesn't matter, whatever. If a cop pulls you over, it's within their legal right to say, are you carrying any large amounts of cash on you? If you say yes, they can easily say, well, I believe you're going to do illegal things with that cash, so we're confiscating. And they can do that. It happens all the time.
Oh, that's
And then from that
terrible.
point, Oh, it's a lot worse than you think too. And then from that point, now you have to go to court, not for yourself, but for your money. You have to prove that your money wasn't going to be used for illegal things, otherwise they keep it. And generally that gets
Reverse
put into
burden
a
of
slush
proof.
fund. Yeah, and that generally that gets put into a slush fund for the police departments. They'll keep that and use it for whatever they want. And it's been known that some of the police departments buy margarita machines with it. One of them bought a freaking Zamboni. Like, I'm not shitting you. This is real stuff that actually happened. So,
Oh man.
yeah, so from that point, that's when I said to myself, well, this is something that cryptocurrency can solve, because all you have to do is have your phone on you and you have your cash, essentially, right? You have your privacy currency where nobody can see it but you know? So
Yeah.
that's when I started getting more into privacy currencies. And then a couple months after Pirate Chain was the Genesis block for Pirate Chain, you know, I heard about it for I was back then some random miner that would just mine profitable coins and whatever, and then either hold them or sell them, whatever. And then once I started mining Pirate, I was like, this group has something behind it. This is I actually read through the tech. I read through the white paper and understood half of it. So, you know, I started doing my research and I was like, wow, this is something that's actually powerful, because back then, if I wanted to use a privacy currency, I just used Monero, right? But now I realize there's actual alternatives that have real privacy. And then so from that point, it's just like your privacy needs to be fought for. You need to do whatever you can to not only uphold your privacy, but uphold everyone else's as well. So by building
Yes.
something like a privacy currency and building the BPSAA to help people maintain and fight for their privacy and security is something that I hold very dearly to me.
Here, here. Amen to that. Beautiful. Yes. Yes. So
Yeah,
good.
here, here.
Yes. Um, and yeah, I love it. I love hearing the passion is palpable, and all of these stories really help to tie in the reality of privacy and its value of privacy and security, and our own ownership of ourselves, and all these good
I
qualities
actually have
that ride
a small bit to share on why privacy, if there's time.
sweet. Yeah, for sure. For you, there's always time. And but I think Drake was finished with his little moment there. That was really
Yeah, yeah.
nice to listen to.
Whenever you're done,
But
Drake.
yeah. And I think too, Lutz might have some passion to share with us right now on
Hmm.
this action.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Wookie's
Let's
still
go
here. Wookie, you
first.
still here? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
loud and clear.
It's loud and clear,
Awesome.
baby.
Yeah, I think the difference here is that I think Pirate just says we're not compromising. Right? We will not comply. We are not compromising with the system that's broken, with a system that steals from us, or with a system that offers very little explanations. Uh, it's a system that's been around. We were indoctrinated in it. I was too. I went to public school. I grew up in public schools. Right.
Yeah, how'd you
So
find out?
uh,
How like you have this
I
passion
had
now.
I
How did you?
actually had a teacher that told me I had to vote Democrat. I had no choice. She actually told me I had no choice. Right. So the school system indoctrinates you, and it makes you think that this system is something that works, and something that we need. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think we need it at all. I think going back to an older system, going backwards in time, will be better in terms of the amount of money and the big government we have now. It would be a lot smaller. Uh, we could hire the whole civilization. We know everybody has guns in the United States. There are a lot of guns in the United States. All right, so instead of having cops pick people up, why not have the whole community do it? All right, so that gives people jobs, and there's a lot of people out there that love their guns, and they have no problem seeing a bad guy and bringing him in for you. right? Why assign a job to cops when everybody could do it? If you lose a car in New York, wouldn't you rather the taxi drivers keep an eye out for it instead of officers? Do you really think they're looking for your car? They're never gonna find your car.
Yeah, Lutz.
So it's,
Yo, I'm really curious though. Like, so you were talking about how we're all indoctrinated. You were indoctrinated, that kind of idea. How did you figure it out, or what led you to that? You were told to vote. You had to vote Democrat. Was that the turning point, or what was the turning point for you?
no. I was a good little Soviet for a long time. I thought I needed to comply. I worked for a Fortune 30 company here in New York City as a network admin called Amerisource Bergen, and I also worked for Cablevision or Optimum Online like 6 years as well on the management level. So I come to you from a whole history of slavery. I've lived it. I can tell you that the amount of money that you make will never get you anywhere in that area. They will always steal your money, even if you. So what happened to me is I almost died. All right. I had a surgery. It was really bad. They had to take me apart. They had to do a resection and take my organs out, and they put it back in. Right. By the time they were done with that, and I woke up in the hospital, and I had a time to reflect. Like, what am I doing with my life? Right. Why? So I start questioning everything at that point. That's when it started for me. That was my turning point. But then the turning point got even worse because I was still working in corporate slavery, and I really hated having to kiss people's asses. And when I was right, it's just it's such a bad environment where you come to an environment like crypto. Everybody's on the same page. We all working for a goal. We all develop things for the good of other people. It's such a fantastic area to be in. So eventually I ended up on the street. I didn't have really anywhere to turn to. After I got sick, I had lost my job. Um, there were not many places for me to go. I was renting. I was paying $1,600 in rent. I mean, by the time you get done, there is no money, right? Then I had found an apartment for $650, and it was a little shoebox. And then the Hurricane Sandy came and took that away from me. So I lost everything, including the little stuff that I had, and I've lost everything I've had multiple times in my life. So what you see, that car you have, that house you think you have, that just imagine just losing it and pressing the reset button multiple times. All right, I could do that. I'm okay with going back to the dirt and building my way back up. All right, so growing up, I learned that this system never helps me. Right? That's what I know from statistics. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for sharing
Right.
like this with us. And
Yeah,
if you have more
Yeah.
to say, just keep going. Yeah.
yeah. So from statistics, just statistics wise, and I want you guys to be true to yourself. Be to ask yourself, has paying taxes really benefited you? Have have they? So me not ever wanting to ask for help because I'm just an obstinate bastard like that. I never asked for help. I was living outside of my car because I still would not ask people for help. All right. But I went to the gym. I took showers at the gym and I went to work. Right. And I got dressed there. So and I did that for about 9 months. And at some point, you got to start questioning the amount of money they're taking from you, right? Because an extra $200-300 would have been a lot better in my pocket than giving it to this entity that says that I have to pay for things that I'm not using.
Yeah. Well, there you
So,
go. And
so,
and and
so,
even on principle, but yeah, for sure, go for it.
and you have to. It comes down to privacy. That's where it all comes down to. I found Bitcoin 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe now. I don't know, maybe 11 now. Uh, because I thought it was 100% private and I thought it was decentralized, and it is decentralized, but it's not private. Right? So it was not the solution I was looking for, even though it was a great way to find the solution. Right? And the solution is privacy, 100% total privacy, no compromise. All right. If you want my information, you could ask me for it, and I'll give you a viewing key, and then you'll be able to see certain transactions on that viewing key, and that's what if that's what I want to allow you to see, then that's what I'll let you see, right? Because
Perfect.
it's none of
Yes.
anybody's
Yes.
business,
Exactly.
nobody's business what you do.
Exactly. And you know what? And now I even understand even better why you're so passionate. And I appreciate you so much, man. And I'm glad you're doing such good groundwork. And the idea that I was thinking is that it really is about voluntary. I mean, for me, the non-aggression principle is the best ethical, moral type of standard. You know, it's just basically behavioral standard for the large set. And you were just kind of moving into that idea of like what you'll allow, what you're okay with is basically voluntary choice, that kind of stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So if they tell me, you got to pay taxes so that we could repave this road, no problem. Here it is. Here's the transaction. I'll allow you to see the payment, right? And I'll pay it to you. And there's the receipt. Uh, there's no explanation these days as to why they take their money. They take your money willy nilly, and you're okay with it. Why are you so okay with it?
Yeah, and they
Well, I
take it
think
through inflation. They take it through inflation and everything too, like that. Like that's even more on the side there. Holy
They
moly!
take it when you go to the
well,
grocery store. They take it before you even get your money, so it's taxed. And then when you go to the grocery store, you're taxed again, right? I mean, it's such a
Well,
con
now
game.
we're at
The
the
whole thing
point
is a
where,
con
you
game.
know, and I'm not trying to get into it too hard, but we're also at the point where people can't even decide to have, private property and do what they want with each other and economic type of activities and blah, blah, blah. But that's on the other side. Draith is dying to
Right.
get in on here. What are you saying, Draith?
yeah. So one thing I wanted to bring up, Lutz, is that even if they say, well, we'll use this money to repave roads, and you're like, yeah, sure, and you give them the money, chances are a lot of that money is not going to be used for that anyways. I'll give you a prime example, right? So this goes along the lines of, why the school systems are so screwed up nowadays because they're defunded. So in North Carolina, right, which is where I'm at, they have they were implementing the lottery. I forget, it was like 10 years ago, something like that, right? And the whole purpose of it was to help fund schools, right? That was the whole purpose of implementing the lottery, aka a poor man's tax, you know. So what ended up happening is, yeah, they passed it, they implemented it. So all the money from the lottery is going toward the schools, but what they ended up doing was defunding the actual budget of the schools even more. So now the schools are getting essentially the same amount of money, but they just pulled the money that was already being used for schools anyways and used it for something else, you know? So it's
Yeah,
all this
wild.
stuff like that that's actually going on that screws with the funding for any initiative that any governmental entity does that uses that money for other purposes than what they say they're using it for.
And yeah, and efficiencies is where we're trying to get. And I think blockchain crypto type stuff creates more efficiencies. Just separating money from the state is already a huge efficiency there in terms of keeping wealth appropriated in the right hands. But that's another story. And I think Wookie, you're still here. Are you still here, Wookie? Do you want to talk about why you're so passionate? I mean, you're a writer, so obviously you have passion because writing it's like this passionate energy in some form or fashion. What's your passion about here in this privacy section and this technology?
Um, so one of the things I was saying earlier was, with the advent of digital currencies in future and the surveillance, I just feel like this is an opportunity just for me to do something of significance, of significance to the world, right? Just with the education and the spreading of awareness and helping with the technology adoption with privacy. And so for me, it's just something to do something that can help change humanity.
Very, very lofty, nice ideal. Okay, wicked. Ruben, what are you thinking here? And Jay Charming, how about you? You were going to tell us a story, so we want to get you in on this right now too.
As
I don't know. I shared my story already, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
Yep.
gonna say
go for it, Jay.
if somebody else wants to go, they can go first because I think mine's going to take it in a different direction.
Well, Jay Charming, I think it's your turn, though. I would love to hear from you, at least a couple more words. And
Yeah. So I don't actually come forward with a ton of technical or what I would call developer experience. I've always kind of like nosed my way around coding and programming, understanding that it was important stuff, and kind of relegating myself to trying to be in like liaison positions as opposed to actually doing it. But stumbling onto Komodo, and this is a long way around to get to what I'm going to say. Stumbling on Komodo years ago and seeing the space here, like a project in a speculative bubble that was shunning price action and only pursuing development, like that spoke volumes to me. So I stuck around here and like started learning about privacy and started learning about this and about that, and married these ideas into like what I did in my life. And a lot of what the importance of privacy, I think, boils down to, for me, and the way I consider it, is that as humans, we've inherited bugs from the generations before us, handed down these habitual mindsets and ideals. And privacy, like in this space like this, is very unique in that these isms that we inherit, these racisms or sexisms or just isms, like the things that catch our minds and go, oh, I don't like that, so I'm going to interact with this person differently, or I'm going to treat this person differently, or I'm just not going to like be able to get to somewhere because I am a certain way. Those barriers are removed when there's really like true privacy in play, and it's really fantastic. So privacy to me means people being able to meet on a purely intellectual realm, like in an area where they aren't even isming themselves, where they're just like, we're just here meeting as like a series of minds pursuing ideas, and we can let go of like these egos. And so privacy is like conflated with like the dissolution of the ego, like in kind of a grandiose sense, I suppose. And that's the way that I think about privacy a lot, and like how it's important and what it means. Yeah.
beautiful. That is astronomical, really, and it cuts right to the heart of the power of really of the reality and existence, and where we are today, and participating in this process, and everybody taking the passions that we all share and trying to do things that we're capable of doing, using our skill sets and moving forward, and making this as best as we can. We've heard from everybody really good stories, and I think that I'm just blessed to be around all of this. I feel like it, and yeah, Jay Charming, that idea of privacy and dissolution is a very keen observation right there. It's really one to chew on. Yeah.
I can
Well,
say after being, oh, I was going to say, I could say after being up for like 36 hours and taking a few naps and stuff like that, I am definitely ready for this 8-hour break before before the next event. But I'm still like, I'm spellbound here. Like this is right now, this is my treat. Like getting to like kind of sit in here with y'all and hear this stuff. So thanks for sticking around some. I really appreciate it.
Nice. You are not hallucinating. Well, I mean, it depends who you're asking, but you know what we mean. So that's
Yeah.
good. And I'm not too sure how long we're gonna keep chatting. It sounds like. Does anybody have anything else to say? Any last words we want to mention?
We do this in Pirate regularly. This is not new to us.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite fantastic.
What?
You should definitely
We go all
join.
night.
Yeah, these
Damn.
guys are. Hey, the pirates do it well. The pirates join the pirate ship and take a look there. It's if you haven't already, it's definitely a place to have some fun and get to know people and learn a lot of things and I'm glad to be introduced to Firo. I didn't know you before, Ruben, and it's really nice to meet you and hear you and feel your passion as well and hear that you're you're working through. Oh, one thing I was thinking of too is that like this idea of technology and privacy and how it's powered also, it seems like, if I'm understanding all of this correctly, please help me guys understand, it's powered by this mathematics, isn't it? And the math, so the math is very powerful on that level, very dense, it seems like. Do you guys have any comments on that?
Sorry, my wife just messaged. So could you repeat that question?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Just curious about the, like connecting the mathematics of the privacy and how powerful it is, and any thoughts on that. Go, Drake.
You basically asked, why is math so awesome?
Here's another example, isn't it? Beauty.
One thing that's really interesting is that this growth in, I mean, if not for the blockchain space, a lot of this cryptography knowledge would not be here. I would say that, you know, all this research into zero knowledge proofs, which are huge in you know, providing privacy, not just in on the blockchain but in many other factors as well, is only possible because of the rise of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Like you know, previously this sort of developments might have taken like 10-20 years to come up, and you know, in this in the time period of like 5 years, there's just been so much like development in the zero knowledge proof and privacy space that I think this is one of the really cool stuff that is happening in cryptography, that is not just about, oh yeah, you know, encrypting data and whatnot. It's about, you know, proving that you know something without actually giving information about it is a really powerful tool, not just for privacy but also for scalability. And it's made cryptographers a very, very high and demanding, and I think that's just good for humanity as a whole when the technology is being pushed so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 I
and
agree. And the biggest thing too is that with the it's like once a technology appears, the development side nowadays and the what's the word I'm looking for? I guess yeah, just the straight up development of that kind of technology just exponentially increases over, you know, the period any given period of time. Because I mean, if you look at, you know, like you said, zero knowledge proofs and the development of it over the time in cryptocurrency and how it's rapidly accelerated, compare that to cell phones, for example, right? Go back 10 years ago, and the stuff that we have today is like alien technology. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, look at hard drives and look at, you know, thumb drives and stuff. I mean, it's crazy how much space is in just, you know, a micro SD card now as compared to 10 years ago. So, looking at it from that point of view, you can tell that with the massive interest that is into privacy coins and uh, privacy protocols and, you know, encryption, that's going to continue to develop insanely quick.
yeah, yeah, good point. And I think rounding around to that idea um, of the math, like you were mentioning about the how the crypto currency and blockchain space is pushing this math forward and making it into its applications. It reminds me though how really it's like the technology always seems to push us forward, bring us farther and wider reaches, deeper reaches, uh, and more complexity and more awesomeness. Really, Drake was saying that about like the phones and all of that. I think about cars and boats and planes and all these other things, and not to mention all the other things that we create. But then we have like this realm here with this computer technology, and how like math seems to lead things that are very huge and important. Like it leads a lot of physics discoveries in our way of understanding how we and interact with the world and all that. And same thing with the blockchain stuff. Like it leads this, and then we take off with it. And look, you guys are taking it and moving in really strong directions. Um, Lutz, did you want to say anything, or Wookie, did you want to say anything about what was mentioned?
I actually have an interesting question once. Yeah. Wookie,
All
Lutz?
ears.
No,
Okay.
I'm good, man.
So one of my questions is that, you know, there's this growing narrative that privacy is only a feature and should not be the product. And this is something that's been really championed by guys like Multicoin Capital, Bitcoin or Ethereum maximalists, that basically privacy coins that only focus on privacy have no place in this world. Of course, I'm sure we're all kind of on the same side here, or else we wouldn't be building what we're building. But I'll be
Yeah,
actually
well,
interested
pirate
to
decks.
hear that.
Well, that's why our pirate decks that we're working on is only going to accept privacy coins, and we're not accepting any transparent.
Oh yeah, but what I'm
That's
saying
really
that
interesting.
okay,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you guys go ahead. I mean, I was like
No,
thinking, what is
well,
what
I
is
want to
your
hear the rest of the
view
question.
of a coin that just focuses primarily on privacy and privacy tag alone, as opposed to those that do a bunch of other things like Ethereum, has their Tornado Cash on their other type of stack protocol and all this other stuff that's happening on their chain
I
versus
tell you what,
coins like us. Yeah,
let me ask
So
one back, Ruben. Oh,
I think this
go ahead.
Jedi mind trick thing.
Yeah.
I would.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to ask this back at you, but from another angle, to see like if it garners a different kind of response. So like instead of like these like a system of coins that are like that have like different varieties of privacy, either optional or not. What if by default our entire space from the get-go, everything, like the first coin was Monero and everything was a clone of Monero embedded, so all tech was built out towards like smart contract Moneros, like Enigma was going for, and like everything was that. But that, like if there was nothing, if the mass amount of coins that existed, I know this is a hypothetical, but if you're going to lead a hypothetical, I would ask this back. What if just all the coins were already defaulted private? Not opt out.
Yeah, and
The
then
entire
what's
system.
the question then? That more people would build stuff around it. Is that right?
Yeah, like would that be? I mean, would you still want to build like partial? Like, would you still want to build like opt-in coins? Would they still have their place in this ecosystem?
I don't think so. I mean, like obviously, there's that momentum, right? Let's say Bitcoin started as private.
Sure.
There would be all this other stuff. But at the same time, I felt that if we had privacy, it might have actually killed cryptocurrency at the very beginning, because like privacy tag is actually really hard to get right. I mean, Bitcoin has suffered like one actual inflation bug, and actually it's actually suffered two, but one wasn't exploited. And can you imagine like trillions of coins being created out of thin air? And that actually happened. It was the value overflow incident early on. And similarly, I think it was just in 2018, there was another bug that would have allowed like someone to create as many coins as they want. It's a bug in the code. Now with Bitcoin, with its supply auditability, because there's no hidden amounts, they, at least with the first incident, they could actually rectify it and say like, okay, yep, we're going to fix this, and they could detect it very quickly because they could see, oh wow, the trillion coins have been created. But with coins like ours, like where there's privacy technology, where the amounts are hidden, and Zcoin, or as we then would have suffered attacks before with this type of inflation attacks, it can be actually very, very hard to detect. So if an inflation bug happened within a privacy coin, and somehow it went undetected for a very long time, and if everyone was like that, the whole space would just lose credibility. And I think that
That's interesting.
maybe there is some benefit from starting with like transparent amounts, at least, because it really ties down to the supply auditability. And that was kind of how we went about it, where with zero coin
Well,
and Sigma, the amounts were still
Yeah.
shown, and then slowly transitioning to hidden amounts as the tech got more and more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you
You're
for
talking
answering
about the
my
fear.
thank
You're
you for
talking about
answering
the
my
fear.
question.
the fear of inflation bugs. So you could live in fear. You could do that if you want. It's up to you. But from what I understand is that more inflation bugs come out of metadata leaks from coins with transparent addresses than it
No,
does
that's
from
not an
private.
inflation bug. An inflation bug is that, let's say Bitcoin, instead of having 21 million coins, suddenly has 500 trillion coins. Even any coin that has that type of inflation would just die. And I would argue that, yes, back with the original value overflow incident in Bitcoin, they could do it because Bitcoin wasn't really used and it was just a few centralized actors. But if an inflation bug happened now, even with supply auditability, especially once it's gone through exchanges, once it's been traded, I'm not sure how they're going to rectify that. Like, are they going to say, okay, yeah, we're going to abandon 21 million, it's going to be like 50 million now? And that's
Well,
already
we've
a real
seen
risk
coins.
now.
Yeah, we've seen coins do that before. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's part of the growing pains. I mean, if you've been in the amount of coins I've been in, or I've been in a
It's not
lot of
growing
free
pains, it's
projects.
death. It's death.
It,
If your coins is
there's all
21
kinds
million.
of different problems they encounter and they fix along the way.
Yeah,
But
but Lutz,
they're all laboratories at that point.
but the thing is, man, is that the problem with, say, for example, Bitcoin suffering something like that is because how do you rectify that situation? It's impossible to, because literally all these coins are created out of thin air and were traded, and now people who spent money in Bitcoin, like, you can either remove those coins, and now all these people who had nothing to do with that hack or that exploit are now suffering because of that, and the whole industry would suffer in general.
Oh,
I
and
have
yeah,
I have
Beauty.
We have
There's
complete
also,
defense against those
oh,
things now.
hold on. Yeah, I'd like to hear that too. But just the idea of trust also comes into play, and I don't think we said that word yet. But there's our elements of trust. I think might have been what you were hinting at as well. And Drake, that was a good point too. Right?
Real quick, I have something that I want to respond to with Ruben's question that he posed, but I want to let Wookie speak first because we kind of skipped him a lot.
Yeah, he wants to jump.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just
I'm
gonna
sorry
say,
for.
right. Oh, it's okay. Just coming back to what Ruben said, and it irks me that BTC Maximalist, right? And this thing comes out Maximalist a lot about privacy being should be a feature and not a product. But the problem is that I think they are thinking of privacy coins with privacy as a product, but privacy coins is about being a currency first. And I would argue, and I agree that if Bitcoin started out with privacy features first, and there were lots of things to break that might be an issue, but that's a history that we'll never know. But if the whole thing was designed to be a currency to begin with, right? I think the failure was to notice that, like cash being the core medium of exchange, that privacy should be the fundamental feature of it, and things like transactions per second is technology that can be developed later, right? So my what I've been thinking for a while is that a lot of these first generation coins like Zcash, trying to be cash, focused on transaction speed first, and which is why they allowed privacy to be optional. And that generation of coins that we had, in 16, 17 with that boom, right? A lot of the coins that claim to be private had privacy optional, and were all claiming to be the fastest thing and trying to solve for the fastest transaction time. And I think that was where the currency coins had a misstep. And so I would
I
argue that privacy coins, are doing it the right way by putting privacy first, and then working on improving transactions as we go along.
I would
And
actually disagree with that, actually, because I have actually spoken to Ian Mears and all these people, and honestly, the people that started Zcash, I think they actually wanted it to go to privacy on by default eventually, or at least some of the founding scientists wanted that. But what happened is, you have to remember that when Zcash first launched and with Sprout technology, then it took 30 seconds on a desktop computer to do a Z to Z transaction. And that was only after sapling when that was brought down to like 3 to 6 seconds, it became a lot better. But can you imagine a full powered PC with lots of RAM taking 30 seconds to do a single transaction? I don't know whether that would have been, like, can an exchange send, this is just a one transaction, exchange has to send out many, many transactions. How can they actually even like, be able to do that? I believe that, at least I think that, when Zcash first started, the technology was actually wasn't ready to be used in the privacy on by default model. And it's kind of a shame that, after sapling came with all the changes and all that, it doesn't seem to be any movement to it. And similarly, like, when they started with Equihash, it was supposed to be ASIC resistant, and suddenly they turn around, oh no, let's embrace Bitmain and all that sort of stuff. So they've kind of like really pivoted from what they really started out with, and many of the scientists are no longer working with them. I mean, there is a clear shift in direction of what Zcash is. Yeah.
And that actually brings up adds on to the point that I was going to make about the original question you posed. Because here's the thing, right? To answer that question properly, you have to look at several factors, right? Generally, when a technology is developed, the project or the company or whatever is solely focusing on that actual technology, right? And then eventually it gets adopted into other things. That hence the need for projects that specifically focus on privacy only, right? We're developing the privacy aspect of cryptocurrency in general, and for those other projects that want to implement it at a later date, once it's more efficient and once it's faster, once it's smaller in size, and so forth, right? Now, the other point that I was going to make in regards to your original question was, you know, there's got to be some specializations within cryptocurrency, right? You can take like the example you posed with Ethereum, right? What happens if they said, "Oh yeah, we want to be private"? Okay, so now their transactions are going to be even more costly, going to take even longer, and it's going to be so much of a hassle for people that they're going to drop, Ethereum for say Tron or whatever the hell else is out there, or Komodo, for example, right? So the problem is that you can be in every single space you want. You can be a platform with privacy features, with this, with that, and DeFi, whatever. You can have all that stuff implemented into a project, but you're not going to be good at all of it. You're going to be maybe good at some of it, but the rest of it is going to be like, why would I even use that feature when, say, this coin over here has it down to like has it done perfectly, you know?
Should have said that when Ergo was here, because they're doing everything.
Well, those
Agent
guys are
Cicada.
like ridiculously smart. I've had several conversations with Kushti because him being the Ergo being in the BPSA, I have the luxury of being able to talk to him pretty often, and they are ridiculously smart over there. It's crazy, but you know, but in regards to your point about to what I said, and then the point that you made about Ergo, the thing is that if you're developing a technology, right? If you're one of the first few people that are developing it, and you have your own project doing it with several other things, generally that technology is going to lag behind any other project that's only focused on that technology.
I actually definitely agree. That's my personal thing, is that, you know, I really, really hate the whole maximalist idea that,
Yeah.
one coin should serve everything. Like, I don't think that Pharaoh should be for everything, like, you want to do smart contracts, go do it on Ethereum, go do it on something else, right? But like, you when you have smart contracts, you're opening attack surfaces. As I always say, like, as a lawyer, it's always about trade-offs. And I really hate this new world where it's everything's binary, right? It's black or white, or like it's good or bad. There is, the real life is seldom like that. And what I actually really believe is that you really can't optimize for everything. We can try to be a jack of all trades and whatnot, but as you said, that you have to make certain sacrifices to have privacy. And I don't know. I mean, I just really find it
How?
really horrible that people just like dismiss privacy as a side feature, especially when they're using the technology that pure privacy coins have been building, right? Like Aztec and Tornado, they're all using ZK Snarks, and without Zcash, they wouldn't be this type of stuff, right? And I feel that it's kind of lame that they would say like, "Oh yeah, you guys are no use now that we've taken your technology." Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest points with the BPSAA itself is that all these projects that are involved with this are different in so many different ways, not only protocols or whatever, but just what they're focusing on. And when you have projects like that that are coming together to build products that involve each specialty, you make some kick-ass products.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense for sure. Definitely makes a lot of sense on that note. Um, so okay, well, this has been like one heck of a chat here. Um, if anybody has any other thoughts, please do share them now. I think Otto
Thanks.
has joined us again. Are you back, Otto?
Oh, I thought you just
All
fell
right,
asleep.
48 hours, bro. We're going 48 hours.
Yeah, Lutz
Yeah.
definitely has that juice. Hey, you got that juice to keep going for sure. You got the full energy.
I'm holding
Let's
back.
use-
You know I am. I'm holding back. I've been holding back the whole time.
Will you send me some
I
of
love
whatever you're drinking?
it. It's the
I'm
pirate
having
life.
water,
It really energizes you.
You can leave it on.
the macadamia nuts.
This is excellent. You guys are all really smart guys. I really like hearing from you. You're right in the thick of it. So as somebody I just feel like I'm listening to you guys talk back and forth, and it's a really interesting conversation. And
I
um,
I
Somebody's
think
got to be the next JL. It can't just be him forever.
I think what it comes down to is what he was saying earlier is that uh he doesn't believe it should be focused around privacy mainly when something is built. Uh, but
No, that's not
we
my,
think
my what I'm saying. I
okay.
was just saying, I say we're all on the same page, but I just wanted to hear what you guys had to
Oh yeah.
say because yeah, yeah.
Well, kudos to you because somebody needs to experiment in your environment, right? So
Yeah.
we're experimenting in the 100%, gung ho. There is no compromise, right? You're experimenting in an area where you're burning coins, and you're from what I understand, you're recreating them, and it's not a cumulative anon set that you get, but there is a hop and there is somewhat of a gain going over to the next one, right? So somebody has to experiment with that stuff too. I mean, you never know when all this could come together, and we
I'm
could
curious.
use each other's tech fluidly, where both coins will be privacy coins in a realm, you know, in this realm that's starting, you
Yeah,
know.
I think one thing that I wanted to highlight was actually like Lelantis, we actually had help from Monero Research Labs to improve certain components of it, and their new privacy protocol that they're thinking of using to replace Ring CT is actually based a lot out of the same primitives that we use. So we kind of like opened the door to this new group of privacy approaches. So we're really excited to actually just not
Mm,
just our coin, but other coins explore this route of using our type of zero knowledge proofs. Yeah.
I gotta
So
look into it. It sounds interesting. I'm not. Do you use a smart contract to do the swapping
No,
to the
no,
next one,
no.
or do you use a ZKP circuit?
No, there are no ZKP circuits. It's a specially purpose-built ZKP that only proves that you are one out of many. I can just probably link to you some things later without going too technical. Yeah.
I've got something here for sure. Um, I'm very curious, or at least a question. I'm very curious with Firo. I heard you say that you spent a lot of time as a lawyer, and then thinking about your model, like I may not understand the development technicals, but I do think that there is an aspect that I understand from previous knowledge that I've been exposed to and had to work with the idea of when you burn one coin to another, that creates actual like regulatory challenges for enforcement, because that's almost like airdropping to yourself, like from a government's perspective, like where the laws are currently written in a lot of jurisdictions. Is that right? Because airdrops
I'm not.
aren't necessarily like
They're
a
not really.
taxable offense.
It's not really an airdrop. It's just like amounts that appear in an address. It doesn't have to be your wallet. It can be someone else's wallet. So it's just a
Right.
transaction to you. Yeah.
That's what
Just
I'm
that
thinking about. It's 'cause-
that coin doesn't have any known history. I mean, you know, it came from someone, but you on the blockchain, you don't see anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And right, well, thinking about fighting regulation from the point of view of like fighting regulation as opposed to just like from a purely tech point of view. Because not like for me, I'm not somebody that has access to just purely being able to do it through tech. So I have to become pervasive through other means. So when I hear that, what I hear is the laws surrounding the laws that are being pushed out by governments saying that if this happens, if X happens and Y happens, then Z will happen to you. And a lot of that's around proving or showing that like you're transferring values from your own wallet to your own self. And that's like a triggering state. But the way that you're describing this, it almost makes it sound like this would be much harder to create like a kind of regulation proof around, while still like being able to be maybe listed on some like centralized exchanges. So this kind of like quasi like difficult to regulate, like from a government's point of view, yet still like semi like at least anonymous in like some respect.
The thing is that I feel that there's too much focus in regulation on the actual transaction mechanics, because again, this falls into this information that the only way that you can do AML KYC is through blockchain analysis, right? But it's like
Right.
it doesn't matter how it arrives in your address, right? Because no, even if it's cash, right? I mean, that's the FATF travel rule was designed to be for use for cash as other forms of payment as well. And so if
Right.
you can work for cash, then it should not matter in the transaction how you got your money, because when you receive that money, the exchange of course knows you receive X amount or whatnot, or you know, and then they can ask that, well, where do you get this $5 trillion from, right? I mean, they're gonna ask those questions whether you use a private transaction or not. It's the exact same thing. And that's why I say that, you know, it's a wrong approach by regulators to just say, oh yeah, we have a blockchain analysis company that can help analyze risk and we're completely protected, which is rubbish, because you know blockchain analytics only covers like, you know, a very small
Right.
proportion people on blacklist, or you know, people from known coin joins and whatnot, and they put a risk score on it. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to catch a criminal. Definitely, it's more of like an additional to flag the risk of transactions. But even without that, if you have systems that already deal with cash, that's the exact same thing that you need to do with privacy cryptocurrencies. And that's why I don't know why regulators are trying to add this additional requirement that you have to be blockchain analysis firm supported, which is all rubbish that is being promoted by all these companies, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks when people tell you what to do.
Yes, that's a really interesting thing. Like that's been happening with Komodo, like since I've been able to like participate here and kind of understand like a bit of the narrative, particularly with atomic DEX. Like so, we all know that there's these huge regulations that came out in the EU, and that the US is pretty much following suit, and has to do with like an increase in the watchdog status of AML and anti-money laundering issues. And then like of course that leads to more KYC. And as the protocol level for underneath atomic DEX has become more and more pervasive, I think this is the narrative I've started to understand about it, is that it's basically it's either reached a point or it's only but a bare step away from being at a point where it's basically it's unable to itself be necessarily regulated, because the pressure that Komodo is facing right now is like bodies reaching out to the developers that are public facing. And to me, when I see that from the sector that I come from and stuff, I'm like, oh, well, that means that they don't have anything more that they can use. Like that's basically like starting to do the whole
They're at
not
the end of their
blackmail, but
rope.
yeah, they're at the end of the rope. They're like, listen,
They
if you
try any
can't,
tactics. They try any tactics. Sometimes they'll even bring the parking enforcement out just to freaking ticket you all. Just to, like they'll use whatever tactics they can. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. Like what was that thing? Like Capone was gotten on like tax evasion, but nothing else. It's like there's like this. If the tech is getting like so pervasive, then like that's all their only recourse is to like eventually start going after the team, and that's just like really fascinating thing because it's like,
So that's a good
what do
sign.
we do then? Yeah,
That's a good
well,
sign. It brings us to
sort of.
it brings us to the edge of the cliff, isn't it? It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
how do we proceed? What's next and what's possible? And that's what everybody's exploring around here is all these possibilities.
Yeah. This is really
And it
cool.
takes a lot. Yeah, it takes a lot of day-to-day work. I mean, behind the scenes, I mean, you guys are working, like you said, some of you working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever it is, plus all of this, like including all the crypto related stuff, all these things that you're doing. And I mean, that in itself requires 2 people just to do one person's job. Really, there's just so much to do, isn't there? Not enough time to do it. So yeah. Anyway,
I fully understand that sentiment between having, my wife and kids on top of my day job, which is in solar engineering, on top of running my physical crypto coin store, on top of the BPSAA, on top of Pirate, on top of
yeah, right on.
Yeah. I should probably go finish this Reddit AMA because I keep on getting distracted by this lovely conversation. So thank you all for all that.
Yeah.
I really like this is a nice treat at the end of like a long block. I know there's 2 more events tomorrow, but this was really nice.
Yeah,
It
we
was
should
like,
let the
dropped in
host
this.
go to sleep. I think they're so
yeah, for
exhausted
sure.
right now.
No, but yeah, exactly.
was
It's
this
like,
last portion that wasn't on air recorded?
What's that?
Was this last portion that wasn't on air recorded?
I don't know. Otto?
I think even we might even still be on air, but Jay Charming, it sounds like you've been tickled. Oh, Otto's back. Yeah. All right. Sweet.
Yeah, I've been here
We get to go to
the whole
sleep
time.
now.
I figured I used the time and went to the Reddit thread and started answering the questions. But yeah, we are still on air.
Oh, badass.
Wow. Maybe we
Cool.
could do this
So,
more
yeah,
if people
thanks
are
for joining.
comfortable like podcasting.
I got meetings tomorrow, but that would be funny. I would actually do it if this was available tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Lutz is
let's
here.
check it
Lutz is
out.
here for the
Let's stay
next
in
48 hours.
touch.
All right.
Yeah.
I gotta go, guys. Like nature calls.
Thanks,
Really
Ruben.
nice
Thanks.
talking to you
Thanks,
all.
Ruben. All
Thanks
the best
for
luck with
hosting.
Firo. Yeah, all the best luck with Firo. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for being here and sharing your time extra with us. It's been very nice.
Take care, guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks, Ruben.
Thanks. Take care.
Later, buddy.
I want to
Later,
get
guys.
all rested up and go hour for hour with you, Lutz.
Oh, yeah? I don't think you can handle it. I go.
Yeah.
I'll go eat some cacao, bro. I have some of that magic chocolate. Oh my god! I'll be climbing walls.
You
Lutz
guys are
has
awesome.
many
Yeah.
skills. One of which is that, and the other of which is just engaging with people and keeping them interested. And literally, you should have seen him in the Caymans when we went to Pirates Week Festival, man. Holy crap! That's how we met Alex from Coin Payments. Literally,
Oh,
like
Cool.
it was just
nice.
funny as hell all the stuff that happened because he just goes around and just talks to people and actually has conversations. It's hilarious, and they're just random
Yeah.
people.
That's amazing. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier about Lutz just really having a way of getting people involved in one form or fashion, and that's brilliant.
Whether they want to or not.
You're gonna get involved no matter what. All right.
That's what I hear. It's not a question of when, it's a question of what.
Do you value your life? You don't value your life, then you could jump off the balcony right now.
That's right. I can see Lutz right now in front of him saying, "Show yourself some self-respect. If you value your life, get up and do something. Come on now."
Wow, this is really cool. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Really love the discussion. I'd like to maybe invite all of you maybe at some point can make it to one of Pirates Fireside Wednesday Fireside chats.
Wednesday fireside. Okay. What's the
Yeah, every
UTC time on
Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern, we have a fireside chat hosted by Lutz
that? Nice.
over on Pirate Discord.
I have a little
6:30
experience with
Eastern.
radio. For you guys that haven't been around, I was SuperNet radio at some point.
Oh, really?
Ooh, nice.
I was the
Do
original
tell.
radio station for SuperNet, man. Eth made all the graphics for me. Eth was amazing. Best
I
graphic
could just see you in a. I don't even know what you look like, but I could just see you in a t-shirt, like at a super professional gig, and it just says the original radio.
design. The OG, man. The OGs.
He looks exactly how he sounds. Like when I met you,
You know Danny DeVito?
Oh my god.
I'm talking about like the typical Italian that I'm used to like talking to. You know, I have a few friends that are Italian that, you know, talk just like you do that are from up north, and they're all similar in like how they dress, how they present themselves, and everything. Like they present themselves really well, all this other stuff. So, like literally, when I met you, I was like, yeah, I pretty much pictured how we look.
Very nice.
It's a
Uh,
compliment.
All right.
Yeah, I actually speak Italian as well. That's so
Oh, really?
there is a bit of a cross language.
Proof of Italian. That's awesome. And Wookie, do you want to say something? I think Otto's going to shut us down in a moment. Is that true?
Oh, Otto's been up in the Reddit forums.
Yeah,
Holy
I
shit.
do
But
need to get
anyways,
some
yeah,
sleep.
I'm gonna
It's
head out, guys.
5:30. So.
Thanks for everything.
Hi, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wookie.
All right,
Thank
well,
you, Drake. Thank you, Lutz.
I'll see you tomorrow at the BPSA meeting.
Yeah, meeting again
You
tomorrow.
guys rock, man. You guys rock. Thanks so much.
Cool. See you tomorrow at the interrupt hour if you manage to go. I think it's at I should know this. I should just know this off the top of my head. It's at some time.
I think we're at
Give me a
11:30
few.
a.m. UTC. Yeah, 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
UTC.
11:30 a.m. UTC. Yeah, that's the
All right,
one.
guys.
Okay.
I'll catch you
If
all.
you need fire tomorrow, if you need some fire tomorrow, guys, you want to fill in some gaps with space, call me, man. I'm down to go on rants anytime.
Sweet. Come around and swap, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks,
gonna
man.
go
You're,
and
you're
pass
awesome.
out. If there's no stream tomorrow, it means that I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've got a solid 8 hours, Otto.
Yeah, I will be good. It's shocking.
You know the next marathon, coordinate with the Pirates so that we could switch off from.
I like
we
this.
could do shows as well, so we could keep it going, continuous.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
that's great. 24/7.
Pretty sure this
Jay
is going to be the
Charming,
big thing.
Jay Charming, you still need someone for the event 5 MC.
I'll have to check. I actually thought that somebody got hooked up to
No,
that in my
if you can
DMs.
join, that's great. We only have people for 6. So if you wanna join, you can.
Do we?
If you can't, then me and JC we can handle it, or maybe we get other team members to also come in. I mean, we do have options, so don't worry if you need to be
Yeah.
somewhere else. But yeah, let's take the stream offline. Thanks
Okay.
everyone really for joining and for this conversation. I really was enjoying it. A lot of important things were said.
Oh, we're still online.
Yes,
Okay,
we are
sorry,
still
I didn't
online.
even realize that. What a great conversation. It was all online this whole time. Okay.
Yeah, this is the late night conversation. All right. So until the next event in
Yeah,
Thanks for
well,
the
then
great
bye,
6 8
MC.
hours or something. See you everyone there, and thanks for all the participants
there.
again.